Okay, and we are back going into our final hour of Dungeon World Oldtown. And not only our final hour of the night, but our final hour of the game. So that's pretty bittersweet. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. So, Axiom is holding onto Zed's sleeve and leading the way deeper and deeper into this basement. And you are all now walking through probably not quite ankle deep. It's probably like maybe only an inch or two deep of liquid on the ground that you are walking through. And
I think everyone's hoping it's water.
yeah, I'm sure everyone is hoping that it's water.
Yeah, Mary's not doing anything to try and find out what it may be.
I think that's probably the safest thing to do. And you reach the point that you saw when you were asking Avel for guidance, and what you see is a raised stone dais, and above the stone dais, where you would expect to see, I don't know, air or something, you see a column of just blackness.
And I did hear that these were portals from my mom, correct?
You heard that they were called wells,
Okay.
and that she wanted to unleash it, but the timing wasn't right.
Gotcha.
But that it was coming soon. Zed, this looks very familiar to you when you and Olivia and Estrelli were dealing with that mummy, and then Estrelli died.
Right. And I recount those events. Know that a creature of darkness had entered into a very similar looking well at the other tower. Towers are linked.
Not only that, but when it entered the well, which was only lightly shadowed, became an inky blackness.
Sort of like what we see now?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you do?
So cliche, but I want to shoot a magic missile at the darkness.
I mean,
Has anyone ever seen 8-Bit Theater?
it's been a very long time.
I've never seen it, but I'm still familiar with the idea. I have no gear that I could potentially throw into it and see what happens. I have exactly my armor shield, and that's it.
Is there anything loose laying on the ground?
Well, you can't really see, but you could try to feel around for something in the liquid if you'd like.
Doesn't sound like it's going to end well.
Do you have an adventuring kit where you could like throw a grapple or something through it?
He's got spell
And hold on to
components
one
and a
end.
bag of books.
I really don't want to be throwing my bag of books into an inky blackness.
You wouldn't have to
see
throw
what
the bag
happens.
of books. You could just pull out a book, mark off a use, and throw it in if you wanted.
You could also grab the book back out and you can like see all the new knowledge that's in that book. Or
I think something like a rope would be the best thing to throw in.
Right.
You know?
Unfortunately, I don't happen to have any rope.
Do you
I
actually?
don't know what happened to it. I think I gave it to somebody and they died.
Olivia probably.
Yeah,
And
she had an
she's-
adventuring kit, but I think she got
she's
like
underground
sucked into
now.
the earth by yeah.
I pull a rope and a grappling hook out of my adventuring kit.
Hey, that's convenient.
Okay.
Because
I
then you
fling-
can like toss it in and then pull it back and see if it's like horribly changed.
I do exactly that.
Okay, so mark off one use of your adventuring gear. And then you throw in your grappling hook and rope. And you throw it in and you expect to hear it clank onto stone, but you don't hear anything. But then
I pull it back out and see if anything's attached.
you pull it out and you're pulling it out, and you would again expect to hear like the scraping of stone, or to offer maybe some resistance if it was being held or hooked onto something, but it offers no resistance. And you pull it out, and since you almost have no context for how close it is because you can't hear anything, you give that final pull, and then you hear the splash as it falls into the water.
Portal to another dimension confirmed.
So is the rope still like in the same condition that it was originally in?
Yes.
Does it seem like 50% more evil?
I mean, I think you'd have to consult a Vel on that one.
Is it trying to coil around my leg and choke me?
No, it's just a rope.
All right, so
I think
have
we
two
probably
options
need
in
to
front of
go.
us. We can either attempt to go through the blackness as though it were a portal, or we can look for something else in the base of the tower that could possibly be linked to it.
I head into the portal.
Okay.
With
I'll follow behind.
I'm still holding on to Zed's sleeve.
Zed, you're being dragged into the portal. What do you do?
I don't know. It may very well be a perfectly good portal and take us into, adventure. It's definitely going to take us somewhere.
Do you allow it to happen?
Do I see any other ways out? Like, along the bottom here? Like,
I mean,
a door
we
on the
can
far
only
side
see
or-
like a very short distance in any direction, right?
That is correct.
We can see like a portal, and then around us is, or maybe a portal. We can see a pillar of darkness, and around us is darkness.
It's just this is extra crispy darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's possible there would be more of this basement to explore, but... Or you could just go in the portal. It's up to you.
well, since you're the GM and you're calling it a portal, I'm going to assume it is actually a portal and not like the darkness beam of death.
I wasn't even considering that you guys would think it was, like, gonna kill you. But that's fair.
I mean, the rope didn't rot, so like,
I mean, it's
Probably
organic.
come back,
Fine.
extension, coil around my leg and try to choke me.
All right, let's go into our deaths and find out what happens.
That's why you
We gotta
play.
end. We gotta end this campaign in 1 hour, one way or another.
That's
Yeah.
true. We
I
are
was
on
kinda
a
hoping
time
that
limit,
Zed would,
people.
like, have lived. That way I can
I mean,
imagine he's over at his.
You might still live.
we may still live.
What was that?
We may still live. We just have to probably kill this Misty dude who is very polite and probably not a threat to anyone.
Or,
We
just give
won't
up
stop
and go
invading his
home.
house.
No, I'm pretty sure that it's the same one who we just fought. And the only reason he was polite to me is because he recognized that if it wasn't for my foolishness, he wouldn't. Dark.
I like that interpretation.
I mean, I'm into it.
In a
He's like,
way,
"Oh,
he
yeah."
might be confused. He
Oh
might
hey,
think Zed
it's
might.
that dude. It's that sorcerer who let me out. Knight, what a cool guy.
It's
Even
one of my.
crowds off of me, so I could be in my true form.
He's one of my incidental servants.
Yeah. So what do we
Alright.
see once we step into the pillar of darkness?
Darkness.
Pretty much.
Oh god. I was kind of hoping it would magically be, well lit. all of a
Inverted
sudden.
darkness. Maybe it's just really bright in here.
So bright you can't see.
Yeah.
No, it's just dark.
Like the
Okay.
old-fashioned castles that have the self-lighting candles down the hallway. Something like that.
All right, so you
No.
step into the well of shadows. The shadows coalesce around you. And you see nothing but darkness in any direction.
Do we still see a pillar of extreme darkness?
You are in the pillar of extreme darkness.
We
Okay,
step
so we
out
could-
of the pillar of extreme darkness.
We
Yeah,
step back out of the pillar of extreme darkness.
We should step forward out of the pillar of extreme darkness. Like onto the
Bread.
other
We're
side.
not holding any bread. Pick up
Are
bread.
you stepping out the way that you came in, or are you stepping out a different way?
I think across from where we came in.
Okay.
Is at least where Mary's trying to get to.
Okay, you step down, you feel something solid beneath your feet. It's not wet.
And it's still dark.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Guys, there's darkness over here too. Check it out.
Man, look at all this darkness.
Axiom or Zed, are you either of you stepping off of the dais?
Yes.
Okay. As you step out of
It
the
feels
dais,
off behind us, doesn't it?
you see your halberd cast some lights. You are able to see around you. You can see that rolling mist again, though all of you now can see the tormented faces and figures within it.
As I walk around, I say, sorry.
As we step
The
on
tormented faces that I'm stepping on.
Can we see more of the room that we're in? Is it the same room that we left?
At this point, you can't tell, but the fact that your feet aren't wet and there would be no... As far as you can tell, the depth is the same as it should be as far as the distance between the dais and the floor. So, theoretically, if you were in the same place, you would expect your feet to be wet still. Or be walking through water and sloshing around, and you're not.
Yeah, and also there's the whole tormented faces deal, which is...
Yeah, which Axiom could still see, but now all of you can see that these mist in the mist. There's
Did Zed see that when he got lost?
He would have. I probably should have mentioned that.
If he knew that, he never would have kicked that.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to steal
Zed
himself
blocked
to
out
come
that
back.
information from his mind because it's too horrible.
He just pretended he didn't see that.
Oh,
He
wait.
walked upstairs
Now
and was
that I
like,
see
"No,
it,
it's
I
just
totally
mist.
remember.
It's just mist." He thought it was a trick of his eyes because he was so scared or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I dropped the ball on that one.
Have I heard that that Axiom is a paladin? He said that when he was introducing himself, right?
Yeah, he said Axiom, Paladin of the Veil.
You think he can lead us to whatever might be in here?
Well, he can certainly try. In this dimension, I'm not even sure. But hey, I'm going to go ahead and pray what here is evil. In ranked order.
Everything.
Everything faintly, but it doesn't feel faint because it's faintly evil. It feels faint because of the distance between you and your god. Like there's almost like interference, something in the way. Like either that or suddenly everything got like a lot less evil, which doesn't seem likely to you. You all hear footsteps behind you.
I turn towards the footsteps.
Okay, you see a column of blackness, which you stepped out of.
So the footsteps are coming from roughly within the column?
No, they're beyond the column. That's just what's
like
right
around
behind
the other
you.
side.
Yes.
Gotcha. I
Step around the
make sure that
column.
my sword is out and my shield is being held in my hand.
Sorry, Axiom, what did you say?
Step around the column.
Okay. Zed, what do you do?
Zed's probably just going to cast a magic missile in the direction of the sound of the footsteps.
Okay.
He's kind of freaked out right now. We're in the depths of hell. He's not going to assume that those footsteps are friendly. Probably reacting more out of fear, and he's just gonna cast.
So I think what I'm gonna do, since you're not really defying danger for this, but you can't see what you're attacking, is I'm gonna have you roll to cast the spell, and if you successfully cast the spell, I'm gonna have you roll 1d3, and on a 1 you will hit it.
Okay.
Does that seem fair, since you can't quite see it, so you might not get the angle right?
Right. Basic concealment rules would be like, 50% concealment or... Yeah, 33% chance to hit. That sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Especially considering I don't know where it is. So.
Exactly.
What's the name of Vesalise's horse again?
Sir Gallant Pickles.
Oh, okay.
And he probably wasn't able to fit down the staircase, so I assume he's not down here.
Yeah, technically I had a pack mule, and I'm pretty sure we left that outside the tower.
Yes.
We're not going to take that down into the
I like how
vortex.
any sort of horse in these types of games just sort of selectively exists some of the time and not other of the time.
Okay, go ahead
Alright.
and roll a 1d3.
So, fueled by sheer terror, he was able to cast perfectly a set of
And
fiery
he's gonna
magic
miss.
missiles, which may at least illuminate something while they sail through the air.
I think what happens is that they well, no, you would be smart enough not to cast through the portal, so you just fire off blindly, and they head towards the direction of the footsteps, but you don't hear the impact that you were expecting to hear.
Or at least a sizzle or a...
Yeah,
fire
whatever it
or
is
anything.
that whatever sound that they would make when they would strike something, you don't hear it.
You don't hear a groan followed with right in the nut.
My family jewels!
Axiom.
Turns out we stepped into the other tower with all the the good people that were living in it. We're now in their basement. We're just torching the place, thinking we're in hell.
No, we're here with those little gnomes.
Axiom, ahead of you, you see the eyes first, the burning eyes in the darkness.
Does it look like a bell?
No.
Okay, I attack.
Okay. Do you want to hack and slash with your halberd?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead and roll. Nice.
Hey, there's a good roll.
So go ahead and deal your damage. Remember to use your smite since you are on a quest. And you don't have
That was
any...
just no. That was just the first roll. That's the main halberd roll, and then
And you do +1 damage, don't you? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
I see.
Okay, so 2 plus 8, so 10.
And you don't have anything that lets you ignore armor or anything like that, do you?
No.
Okay. So you charge forward and you thrust your halberd out, and it cleaves into this creature. And as you are thrusting your halberd into it, it is illuminated in all of its horror to you. You see bones and sinew and desiccated flesh and shadows weaving their way almost into armor around this creature. But you do strike a mighty blow, fueled by your holy quest to cleanse this tower of its evil. What do the rest of you do?
I want to do more or less the same thing. Just run up and hack at it with my sword.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Actually,
Strength.
before she does that, I also have setup strike. When I hack and slash against a target, I can choose an ally, and their next attack against that target deals plus 1d4 damage.
Okay.
I'd like that to be Marie.
Okay.
Hey, handy.
So is it Mary or Marie, by the way?
Mary.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's cool.
I decided that exactly when you asked me for sure. Right then.
So, Mary, you got a 13. That is a success. Go and roll your damage and take your bonus.
That damage roll. Oh, wait. I can re-roll that. Once for battle, I can re-roll a damage roll.
Is it a damage die or a damage roll?
Oh, it is a die. You're correct. So I'm going to re-roll the d10.
Probably a good idea.
Nice rolls.
Oh my god!
That was a 1 in 100 chance. That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's whatever. I do have 2 points of armor piercing, but that's probably still not going to be enough to actually do anything.
Those 2 damage definitely went through.
What does armor piercing mean? That you ignore 2 points of armor?
Yeah, I ignore 2 armor.
Okay. You cleave a really mighty hit with your sword, but it just seems to go through, like, the mist and kind of, like, almost as if the mist is repelling your blade, like armor.
Yeah.
Zed, is there anything you wanted to do?
We have engaged the enemy.
Well,
You can
I
see
had
him
already
now.
fired bolts at it.
What's that?
I had already fired bolts at it, but I want to use up my telekinesis. Is it possible for me to use 2 holds in the single action?
Yeah, you can spend holds 1 for 1.
Okay, so then I choose the first option twice to use what's nearby to attack a target, dealing my damage without having to roll. Since you said we couldn't really see anything around him, perhaps I could just simply use one of the either Mary's or Axiom's weapons that are already kind of embedded in the guy and just like re-chop him with them.
I also have a rope and grappling hook hanging off my backpack right now that I just used to.
I would say that you have to use a medium-sized object, or I guess you could bludgeon him with the grappling hook. So you could do that or use one of their weapons if they allow it.
What if I just take the grappling hook and make it like shoot into his face and pull him backwards?
Let me look at the spell real quick. Because it sounds
You mean
like...
you're
Kind of just
trying
have to give him points for awesome on that one.
Like
I
you're,
mean-
you're trying to hook him or push him away.
He
Like,
is the
like
medium
hook into
object
his
now.
head and pull him back at the same time.
How far are you trying to move him?
Just enough to stagger him. I'm not trying to get
Okay.
him like
So then
pinned
you
up against the
can
wall.
you
or
can
anything,
use
but-
1 hold to attack it, and then use 1 hold for close manipulation.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll your damage. You will deal that without having to roll to attack.
Okay. So 1d4. Wow.
That sure is. Okay, look how many ones there are on
What
damage
kind of
rolls
I
in
person
the
think-
last.
cast upon us, Mary?
I mean, I think the game just wants you all to die in a very spectacular way.
I mean,
Okay,
here's
so
the thing
at
though:
least-
we have not failed any rolls so far.
I know. You're just not
only-
very effective.
Yeah, I mean, Axiom did roll an 8 on a d10, so like, you know.
All right, so it doesn't do much damage to him. Actually, without any armor piercing, it wouldn't do any damage at all.
No, it does
But-
not damage him, but you do hook it. So you may...
But I do hook it and possibly pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, you can pull them back and stagger them.
All right. Does that give further attacks to him, like +1 on forward or something? Or
I would say the next attack against him will have +1 forward. That's fine. For creating an
Very good.
opportunity.
all right, guys, take it away. Hack him up.
Seems good to let Axiom go next.
So I tried redoing the damage roll on the sheet, so I'm gonna have to try that. Well, that's if I hit. So hack and slash again.
Okay. Legit.
Not bad.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
Also, set up strike when I hack and slash against the enemy. Again, I choose Marie.
Okay.
Makes
Mary.
sense.
Mary, sorry. Hey, it worked.
Hey, that's a decent damage roll.
That's pretty solid. Okay.
And my
aga-
macro worked. Everything's wonderful.
Yeah. You again cleave a mighty blow into this creature. It's not dead yet, but you can tell that you have wounded it significantly with your holy strikes.
Actually, I'm just like soloing this boss while
Pretty
me,
much.
me and Zed just kind of sit there like, we're trying. I mean, I guess just continue to hit it is
Okay.
probably the correct thing.
Okay.
So that means I'm
So-
taking some hit also.
Well, it is making an attack against you, whatever that means.
Okay. So should I roll damage?
Yes, go ahead.
Nine,
Okay.
with 2 armor piercing.
Oh, right. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, that's like probably the best weapon enchantment in my opinion. It's better than
Pretty
the +1
legit.
damage thing in most cases. Although I took that one also.
Um, I'm looking at its moves because I think one of its moves would be pretty legit. And attacking is boring right now. I think what happens is that you as Axiom strikes this creature, he sets up a perfect like shot to this creature's heart. And what you're able to do is you're able to jab your sword straight through its heart. And you see it it thumps a couple of really hard shuddering beats, and then it stops beating, and then suddenly around your sword it decays into mist, and the mist washes over you, Mary, and you see a vision of and I need to take a minute to think about what this vision is because it's important and I want to make sure I word it correctly. You see a vision of bodies. You see small people laying in heaps. You see brown robes. You see a dais. And you see the dais filled with inky black shadows, but it's not the dais that you have seen today. And then the vision's gone.
Okay. Did we get it?
I'm no
saying that
longer,
to the party.
I'm just
yeah.
saying from your references, the creature that you were fighting no longer seems to exist.
Is the mist maintaining its previous levels of mistiness?
Oh yes, there is writhing torment beneath you.
Well, I tell the others about what I saw. I probably have no reference point for why the people would be small, but that might indicate something to them.
Did they look like halflings?
I've never seen a halfling. I describe what they looked like, and maybe that does or doesn't match the description of halflings.
And
From- From Mary's description, you could infer that they were the halflings.
okay, so the dais underneath the halfling tower most likely manifested. But how does that help us? We are still surrounded in inky blackness, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't... There's probably no way to get there from here, unless there's some other thing that the portal can do that we have not discovered. I mean,
Oh.
what we did, like, walk through the portal and end up in the darkness. It's possible that if we walk, like, in like these directions, that each one leads to a tower, because there's 3 towers. I don't know if that could be the case. But that could be something to try. See if we could get to the other towers by going in those ways.
Do we think that we're done here?
Axiom is probably going to stay here for days, murdering everything. It's kind of his MO. Right now, he's on a quest to cleanse this place of evil, and this place is just pure evil. He's probably going to just stay here until he dies.
This actually might be a really interesting place to do epilogues then.
Okay.
Since we're pretty much close to the end. So what happens is you've slain this creature. There seems to be no other imminent threats, though Axiom, if he prays for guidance, still senses much evil that remains on this plane. Mary, you saw a vision of death and another portal opening. But there's time now, since there's no pressing threat, to figure out what to do about it. So, or if you wish to, because
so what is the...
I was just gonna say, it's technically not even really your fight. You were just trying to get out.
Yeah, that's true. When I had the vision, was there a sense of like urgency, like this is happening now, or like this is a thing that could happen, or neither?
You got a sense that in its dying whatever, it was showing you, look at what I have wrought.
Oh, I see.
So it was more of a vision of something that's already passed?
Yes.
So we probably should have actually checked out the basement of the halflings rather than just accepted there. It's probably fine.
Well, Mari doesn't know anything about that.
Yeah, Mari was not there for that. But
Their deaths are all squarely resting on Zed's conscience now. I mean, hell, he was part of the party who awakened this thing in the first place.
So, Zed, how do you want to make it right?
Well, this is like a final epilogue thing?
Yes.
Or... So Zed is probably going to take anything that he could find here to help him learn about this portal and these towers, and most likely dedicate the rest of his... Well, dedicate as much time as it takes, I should say, to researching them and finding out how to close these and combat the evil.
Okay. And Mary, what is it you want to do now that you are no longer trapped by your mother, but you have seen all of these horrors that she has been party to?
So is Axiom staying here? Like on the plane of darkness? Trying to kill more darkness? Or...
Like, Axiom would be here for a bit, then he would probably, like, go back through the portal, give himself a new quest, probably one that would involve freedom from hunger, thirst, and sleep, and then probably just stay down there for weeks, if not years, killing things.
You should ask for the ability not to age. Just be able to fight the darkness.
Be the immortal slayer of things.
I
on the
mean,
plane of
even though
darkness.
it's not on there, I would allow it. Like, Avel, this is her antithesis. This is the
And I think
plane of
that's
shadow,
right.
and she's the goddess of fire. So
That does seem within the spirit of the boons too.
yes. So I think what happens is that when you come out and you pray and devote yourself on the quest, she grants you the freedom from hunger, thirst, sleep, and grants you freedom from aging, so that your mortal body can support you as you continue on this fight in her name to cleanse the plane of shadows from existence.
Axiom.
I think what Mary is going to do is she's going to go to Oldtown and try to find like a normal job and just like not really do anything that interesting. Yeah.
So Axiom is fighting.
She
this
might at
place.
some point, if Zed needs a group of people to come with him to try and do something to close the portals, she would probably help with that. But other than that, she'll probably just stay in Oldtown and like do normal human things.
So I think it's interesting that Axiom is like, the champion of the divine aspect attempting to fight this. Ed is going to be the master of the arcane, and then Mary is going to be the master of the mundane.
I guess.
Well, I mean, it's not really her fight. She has nothing to do with it. She was just She was just bored in the darkness.
I mean, she's 15 years old and has never really gone outside of this tower or interacted with people who are not her mother.
So I think that's fair. Unfortunately, we can't ask Estelise what she would do, but probably go off on more adventures. Because
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty sweet story to tell. I went to the Hell Dimension and killed the Hell Beast, and that happened.
I mean, I love how Axiom has become like Tyrael.
it's pretty awesome. Like, I feel like if this were a movie or a TV show, it would end with Axiom standing up from his prayer and then walking into the portal to the realm of shadows, just kind of dragging his halberd behind him, and he would just
while drawing it as he's walking through the portal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm off to battle.
I think
Fight
it's
the
really
last
funny
protector.
that this shadow monster never once attacked us. For all we know, he could have been a totally friendly dude, and he just happened to be born on the plane of shadows. And
He
he
killed
inherited
our
this
party.
title. He wasn't like about evil.
Well, I mean, he killed.
Like
One
the
of my
only thing that we saw him do is he asked Zed to leave without attacking, and then we showed up and like
Murdered
chained
him.
him to death.
Like, was it the same guy that killed Australia?
No,
Okay.
Oh, it wasn't.
no.
Interesting.
So yeah, he may have totally been friendly.
He...
I mean, it seemed to be the case that he was bragging about murdering all the halflings, but it's possible that he was mean. Hey, sorry about all those dead halflings. My friend did that. Whoops.
Just thought I should let somebody know.
Yeah, just in case somebody wanted to go
This-
bury them or something.
It's a creature that was literally exuding an evil miasma.
Oh man, I've played too many video games. The plot line that I just thought of was one from like Soul Reaver, where this dark, corrupted figure is actually Axiom's far future self.
And he just
where
killed
This
himself.
is what Axiom has become to fight the darkness, and this is the power he's obtained.
No, not really, because Axiom from the far future, after millennia of freaking fighting evil, wouldn't be such a pushover.
It's
Well,
probably
it's not
true.
my fault. I didn't get to make any moves.
I mean, to
Yeah,
be fair, maybe like your bones all rotting kind of.
you're just
made
weary
it more
from all the
difficult.
fighting.
Yeah,
And
maybe you were like, "Hey, it's me. I should not resist while this person fights me."
like, oh, I remember doing this.
Can we not have that be a storyline, please?
Yeah, it doesn't have
It's
to
just
be.
Like,
interesting.
while we're setting canon here, can we just say that's not it?
So
I
what
mean,
did
it's
you guys?
totally bad at.
What did you guys think about Dungeon World?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a good system. I liked it. Mark XP has to be one of the most bittersweet statements that I can ever hear.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
goodness.
probably my favorite part about the system is that something cool happens basically no matter what you roll. I mean, unless you roll bad too many times in a row.
And then you just die, pretty much.
Yeah. Although something cool can happen in that case. It's just that it didn't happen to work out that way.
And
in
it's
our
not
game.
likely to happen, unfortunately.
I enjoyed the campaign. I hate the Dungeon World system.
Oh, really?
Really?
I feel like all too often, like when I was playing Australia, I didn't want to use any of my abilities. Any of the things that made him unique and interesting seemed weak compared to all the negatives that get piled on with mistakes.
Hmm.
I have
so
to kind of second that. just because every time I went to cast a spell, and being a wizard, that was every round of every fight, casting, fireball, magic missile, whatever it be, and then having those three same terrible, evil choices facing me of either bringing down more wrath, forgetting the spell permanently, or hindering myself for the entire rest of the combat until we could rest, which was so uncommon that I ended up finally catching up on this episode. That now I don't end the episode with enough XP to actually level next time we rest. I finally caught up to where I was supposed to be. And it's just... I can see that the negatives are a little bit too potent. Maybe if there were some more subtle negatives that we would.
Part of the problem was that you were at -1 to your main casting stat for basically the whole campaign, which
pretty much after after the tutorial dungeon, I was like, okay, well, we'll curse you guys, and that'll give you a quest, and then it was like, that was it. You just kind of accepted, okay, I'm cursed. Let's keep going on the main quest, and.
Well, we didn't really. We kind of figured that the main quest would somehow lead. I think that was Olivia's interpretation of the thing. But like, if that was not the case, you probably would have failed less, and that would have made it, easier in that way. Because it seems to be the case that for most characters, you can, like your main attack stat, you can get a partial success a couple of times, and then you're in a horrible situation. Like, if a fighter rolls a partial success on a melee roll, like 3 times in a row against a tough enemy, they're probably dead.
And then,
most you have armor and stuff.
Don't do like a ton of damage. Well, half of the boss enemies bypass armor.
Well, that's against the boss.
That's what I'm saying. Like, against a boss, if you partial success 3 times, I guess it's true for, like, basic enemies. Fighters are... But then, that's kind of consistent with D&D and stuff in general. If you're fighting fairly weak enemies, fighters are more efficient and can do that for longer than wizards can.
And then one thing I wanted to mention is that, from what I've read about Dungeon World, is that you fail a lot your first 4 levels, or your first 3 levels, levels 1, 2, and 3, you get a lot more failures, and once you hit 4, you fail a lot less. Like, apparently they're saying it's common to level up very quickly until you hit about 4, and then it slows down.
Yeah, having a +3 in a stat is, like, way better than having a +2 in a stat. It's, like, not a subtle difference. And then there's stuff you can do that'll give you +4 in a thing, and then you basically are almost guaranteed not to fail it. In that case, you only have a 1 in 36 chance of actually failing a roll.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the fence. I like the system, but it does have some parts that, make it a little bit more... Like, when Estrelli had cast that, I believe it was Estrelli, had cast that one reverberating magic.
I mean...
And it went wrong, and everything in the entire dungeon had +24.
That is kind of on me, though, as, again, this is my first time GMing a campaign, and so obviously I'm going to make mistakes and make things either easier than they ought to be or sometimes harder than they ought to be because, 1, I'm not familiar with the system so much, and then 2, because I'm not familiar with how to GM. So I feel like in some cases I definitely went a bit further than I should have, but at the same time I did warn Estrelli.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying that was more of a error on your judgment than a problem with the system?
I believe so, but I definitely see where you guys are coming from with the system. I feel like if I ran something again and I wanted to do a Powered by the Apocalypse game, I'd probably run Apocalypse World.
So that's an interesting point. I watched both of the like the Dungeon World and Apocalypse series on roleplay. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? I enjoyed the Apocalypse World one a lot more, and I was never really able to like explain why. I felt like almost all of the, how do I explain it? Like there was a lot more tense social situations that popped up in Apocalypse World.
Right. And Dungeon
the
World
Dungeon World
is
system doesn't
it's-
seem set up to ever have that.
right. It's more about delving into dungeons, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I definitely agree that like the tension from Apocalypse World and just the kind of situations that it presents are very different. And if you're looking for more like people surviving an apocalypse and dealing with that together and having issues, then that's definitely a great system to use. I feel like Dungeon World does introduce a lot of changes and it shifts the focus quite a bit. And I'm not sure how I feel about that shift in focus.
'Cause here's one thing that I think about it is that it shifts it a lot more towards combat in Dungeon World, I think, compared to Apocalypse World.
Yes.
And I don't think the system has enough interesting choices to make in combat
I would
compared to something like D&D. Like D&D, there's like a ton of like positioning things and character building things and like different abilities that you can use that on any given turn, you almost always have to make a decision about, oh, what do I actually want to do? Whereas in this game, like as at least
I
as a
swing
fighter,
my
and a
axe.
ranger, the
I
correct
punch.
action is basically always to attack them.
Right.
Also, let me just say, like, well, I can definitely see where the whole character creation thing comes from, and as far as like you're given these set of choices, so you can just choose this. You got your character, you're in the game, you're good to go. But after playing it a while, it's so limiting. Like you have like three choices of you're either in a helmet or you have nice hair or you have wild hair. It's like, really? You have to choose my hair for me? Like, well, why can't I have like a toupee or something?
I mean, I think
Um,
also that, like, stuff like that for sure that's not mechanically significant. If you had a specific idea in mind that you wanted to go for, you could definitely talk to your GM about that or talk to me about that. And we could have a conversation about it.
Yeah, like to be fair, all of us chose our own character names, even when it specifically says pick from these character names. So like I don't think it's that difficult to just imagine those as being suggestions rather than here's what you pick from.
Okay, but then like there's also like you have to be like then there it also ventures into the ones that start to have like things on your character that also like your race.
Right.
If you're a paladin, you have two choices for your race.
Yeah, I don't like that. For example, you cannot be in paladin or whatever. That's
And I agree with that too. That's one of the limitations of the system that I don't like. I mean, I do like that it lets you have a choice between race at all, because it could just make everybody humans, but then it wouldn't be like Apocalypse World style D&D, right? But definitely it's like what? 2 races per class that you can choose from. You can be human or something
It varies
else.
based on the class. I had 4 choices as a fighter.
Okay. But a lot of them only do have 2, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make mention real quick too that when it comes to making the choices about like character design or whatnot, it would probably improve the system to also have different choices when it comes to a lot of the things in here, including the what are they called, the bonds. Having the same 3 choices for bonds over multiple different people becomes a little bit repetitive.
Choices for what?
Bonds.
I liked
Oh.
when we could actually come up with our own bonds,
Yeah,
independent of the other ones. Just using those as like a suggestion.
And I
And
think
it-
that's the idea. Sorry to interrupt.
What was that?
I said I think that's the idea behind it, and sorry to interrupt, but that you use those as kind of a framework to learn how to make bonds, but then you make your own bonds.
Right, and I think that perhaps when it comes to like, I was complaining about always having the same 3 choices on a 7 to 9. maybe if like we could work together and get like this big list of possible choices, and then the DM picks 3 that would apply to the current situation, and then the player
I
gets
think
to choose one.
that
of
seems
those
like a
3.
pretty good idea to
That
me.
seems interesting, yeah.
That would probably help.
Yeah, like let the
alleviate some
DM
of
choose
this,
it based
you know,
on the situation, but then the player chooses from the choices. I think that's a cool idea.
And that way it would help, mix things up a little bit and not always make it feel like, oh man, I rolled a 7 and 9 again. I picked this one choice because it's the best out of the 3.
Right.
Now you always have these different 3 that would,
Speaking of which, that system on the range thing seems like totally unbalanced. Because there's nothing stopping me from just carrying a huge amount of arrows, and then I basically get a maximum success on a 7+. You know what I mean?
I went through the whole game.
It costs almost no gold to just give myself.
Yeah, I
huge
did
amount of
notice that
arrows.
volley felt
And then
kind of
I just-
overpowered by comparison.
Let me just mention though, I went through the whole game and none of my characters ever had any gold.
You would have, but you kept dying at the end of dungeons.
It's
Yeah,
my
I mean,
thing, okay?
That does make it hard.
Except for this one where you just fought forever.
Like,
And I never made any gold in any of this dungeon, by the way.
Like, the penalty for a partial success on a volley is way more lenient than the penalty for a partial success on either a wizard casting a spell or a fighter in melee. Like, a fighter in melee takes the full damage of the enemy's attack.
I feel
mean,
like that one
sometimes,
kind of makes
potentially.
sense, though, because you're in more danger.
It does make sense. Like, that's the advantage of ranged combat, is that you're not in as much danger.
Right. But also, you generally do less damage at range, unless you were playing like a ranged fighter.
I mean,
like, you could do that with your
didn't
fighter
do
and
less
stuff.
damage.
I mean,
Like,
I'm saying, like, Olivia, because she was a ranger, she, I can't monitor chat anymore because my phone just died. But, because Olivia was a ranger, she, didn't have as high of a damage die compared to, the paladin. for
yes,
example.
but only by 1 notch. Like, the difference between a D8 and a D10 is not really that much, especially when both players are adding on a +1 and a plus D4. Like, I
That's
do
true.
almost as much damage as the paladin did by level 2 when I got my magic weapon gun. I don't know. The other thing with their companion, the companion is weirdly designed, I think.
I found it awkward to, like, deal with. And, like...
Because, like, I
Yeah.
could never send it into combat to do what it was supposed to do and, like, increase the damage of my attacks. Because, like, how do you... There's no system presented for, like, the companion taking damage when that is usually who would be taking the damage.
Right.
Like, I think it should explicitly say you and your animal companion share the same health pool. I think that would make it a lot more
Or
straightforward.
possibly give your companion, like, HP, but when it dies, it doesn't necessarily die. It just it's not able to be used anymore.
That could
Like
be, yeah.
Pokemon
Give it, like,
Yeah.
not that much HP, and then make it so that it, like, sort of regenerates when you rest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yes,
I think that would
I know
actually
I
work
need
pretty
to
well.
plug my phone in. So since I need to plug my phone in and we have about 13 minutes left, I'm going to go ahead and do the end show thing. So first of all, I want to thank all of you for joining me for my Dungeon World campaign.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for DMing it. It was fun.
Glad to be here.
And thank you all for being willing to try a new system. I enjoyed learning it, though I don't know that I would probably want to take a break from it and do something else if I did decide to GM something. Speaking
I
of
think-
which, I just want to point out real quick that on, June 3rd is Roll20Con. And so if you guys are interested in role-playing games, either you guys here or anyone in chat, I am running 2 games. I am running Fiasco at 11:30 in the morning Eastern Time, and I am running a one-shot D&D 5th Edition campaign at 8 o'clock at night. So if you guys want to get in on that, check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/Astani.
What day of the week is that?
It's a
Just out of
Friday.
curiosity.
I think it's Friday.
Friday at 8. I think I can do that.
Okay. Well, you better hurry up because my slots are actually filling up for that one.
Okay. I'll make sure to do that.
Did anyone want to say anything else before we close out?
Well, I wanted to fully answer your question, which you had asked before, about what I thought about the system.
Okay, go ahead.
A simple summation of it is I liked the system. I liked the experience of trying something new, but it could use a couple of tweaks.
I agree with that.
Does that sound like a fair summary?
I would agree with that. So yeah, it seems fair to me. Like, there's a lot of things it does really well. I like how narrative it is. I like how easy it is to run because I hate prep.
Yeah.
I hate prepping for anything. So this has been a very low prep campaign, which you probably have been able to tell, but I don't know. But it's really easy to run. It's really easy to pick up and play and all that. So I really like that aspect of it, but it definitely does feel like the focus is too much on combat, and I didn't like that. Like, it felt like when I was trying to get you guys into social situations, it just felt kind of awkward and pointless almost. And I didn't like how that felt.
That might also be a little bit due to us. I mean, we aren't the most socially adept when it comes to role playing. The door and the halflings was pretty much paramount to that. It highlighted it greatly. The biggest takeaway is, did we have fun?
I
had fun.
I believe that I could say that I had fun.
Good. You did keep coming back, so that was always a good sign.
Yeah. Mission was successful on the aspect of having fun and enjoying the system for being a medium for that. So, it's not. We may have said a lot of negative comments about it, but it was all just for constructive criticism.
Absolutely.
Taken into account in the future. I don't think anyone here is going to be like, no, let's never play this system again.
I think it's worth mentioning. Like, oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think I would rather not. Like, I just.
And it's
Even if
okay
we
to not
tweaked
like
it?
a system.
I
It's okay.
think a lot of the flaws in the system, like, reach down far enough into the base of the system that I don't like Dungeon World as a system.
And that's fair.
I think I would rather play. We play Burning Wheel or Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition or 3rd edition or Pathfinder. Like, I think there are a lot of other really good systems out there that I would rather play over this.
So what I was going to say is I did read the whole rulebook for it when I was going to run a campaign for it a long time ago, and I think it has a lot of really good advice for DMing in general that is helpful even if you're not playing Dungeon World.
I would agree with that.
So yeah, I got like a lot of my philosophy of what good DMing is comes from the rule book for this game, even though I actually kind of agree that like some of the systems just don't really work together and it's not that fun to me compared to other similar games. So I think that's an interesting thing.
And I'm going to be honest, the whole reason that I picked this to run is because it has very clear rules on how to GM, especially how to GM this system. And I knew that because I had a lot of other stuff going on that I wouldn't have a lot of time to, like, take on more of the responsibility. And I like that it puts a lot of responsibility on you guys as the players. And I feel like for someone who's either new to GMing or doesn't have time to do all the prep work that goes into like a lot of other systems, that's really helpful. Because I had my pre-work to do or my post-work or whatever to make my fronts and my stakes and my dangers after the first session. And then I basically had a list to go from and say, okay, what am I going to present to you guys? And then I just see how you react. And I have specific moves that I can do rather than just saying, oh, well, it attacks you all the time. And I think as I, GM'd more of it, I kind of started to get the hang of the different things that I could do rather than just dealing damage. So I don't know. I just feel like it helped me learn how to GM a little bit better.
And that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
By the way, let me just say, thank you for being willing to DM this. I know
Agreed.
that it's definitely something that most people shy away from. I know I do. I haven't DM'd anything, and I don't really plan on it. But yes, so thank you for taking that sacrifice for us and getting all this together.
I had a lot of fun, especially when I would say, we'll come back to that failure, and you all going like, oh no, what is she gonna do? Yeah, I really enjoyed GMing. When I have more time, I definitely plan on doing more of it, aside from just the one-shots that I'm gonna do on the 3rd. So, yeah. I enjoyed GMing.
Oh, and by the way, as a completely off the topic thing, one of the pictures that you have up there, I recognize that castle from Castlevania.
Wait, that's Castlevania?
That's
Which
completely
left one?
and totally the Castlevania castle, and I recognize it intrinsically.
Yeah, my first impression was the top right one looks like Irithyll Dungeon from Dark Souls 3. I was like, is that no, it's definitely not a screenshot of it, but it reminds me of it like really strongly.
At first, I thought it was a sewer.
It is a dungeon from DeviantArt. I don't remember the artist. Actually, let's see. Is it on there? It's on there. Let me blow it up because it's really beautiful. And let's give credit to them.
I have noticed too that it contains a dais and a hole in the ceiling equivalent to the dais. Was this inspiration for?
No, I actually pulled that up just today when I was looking for pictures, and I saw that. And I'm like, perfect.
That's a thing that I think is worth pointing out. I really like when there's not an explicit map. That's like my.
I prefer avoiding it,
thing.
especially when I'm doing something more narrative like this, because
Yeah, I
fictional
much prefer
positioning
this
isn't
type of
important
thing.
to this game.
Although I do have to say, I do like positioning in like D&D 3.5 with flanking and whatnot. Being able to duck behind cover, having rules implemented for being able to do that, extra bonuses for flanking somebody, and also just knowing where everyone is. Like for instance, with the fireball spell,
Right.
every time I went to cast it, I had to ask, okay, so who is close by this, and can they get away from it?
I love 3.5's combat if it were a video game. I think its combat is not that well suited to being a role-playing game.
That's fair. I'm not to say that I don't like the system that we were playing in. It's just I did notice that lack of strategy when it comes to not having any positional move.
I think 3.5 is like if here's the strategy meter, like 3.5 is too far on the needs a lot of strategy to play, because you can kind of get your whole team killed if you don't know what you're doing. And then I think this one is a little bit too low on that end.
Where you don't
there's
need to
not
know
that many
anything at
meaningful
all.
choices to make.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, even if you have two options, they basically make the same roll, and if you succeed, the benefit is about equivalent. So
Right.
I don't know.
Any final closing thoughts or anything we want to say, or is that going to be it for us?
It feels so sad.
Aw. Well, don't feel sad. You get to fight forever. All right. So the last thing. Oh, do you want to say something else?
Michelle, you're still going to be in Discord, right? So we can still contact you should something else come
Yeah.
up.
So you can contact me on Discord. My name is Astani there as well. So you don't even have to stay in the channel as long as you have my username. So you can contact me that way. You can check me out on Twitter, or you can send me messages on Twitch if you need to.
The only reason that I'm asking is because Docs was thinking at one point of perhaps DMing his own campaign. So should that happen, we'd need to contact you again to get you in as a
Okay.
possibly
Hazel,
even a co-DM.
what media do we have you on?
I'm on Discord too. It's
I have your burning wheel one. Like,
You don't
So-
need to have the channel is the thing, because you can just send a private message to someone by clicking on their name.
I'll add you two as friends on there, and then you can go to the top in the
they do
direct
friends
message.
now.
Yeah, I haven't actually done that with Michelle either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
That's very convenient and easy to do.
accept.
It's already
Yeah.
done.
There we go, and that'll make it easy.
I should. Do I
Well-
want to be friends with Buhamut?
So while we're wrapping this up, I'm just gonna go do a quick outro because I really have to go to bed because I have to get up at 4. So, thanks everyone so much for tuning in for my 8-session campaign of Dungeon World. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun running it. There's not gonna be a stream this Sunday because I'm gonna be in Louisiana. So yeah. We will be back on the 29th with my board game show. Sunday is game night. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be playing Tales from the Arabian Nights. So that'll be fun. Other than that, just, thanks again for watching. This is the last episode, so at least in this format, we will not see you later. So have a great
stated.
night, everybody, and hope to see you elsewhere. Bye.
Okay. Bye.